preliminary stuff and some introductions. So welcome folks today. I'm going to kick things off, but with me today, I'm excited to have Paula here today from my team, who's going to cover a lot of the content and live demos for deployment guidance for your SOW adoption journey in the walk and run phases, some of the more advanced configuration. She's done a lot of work and has experience to show you guys today she's excited about. So let's get started here, Paula. Let's get moving to the slides. So go ahead, Paula, if you want to kick it off, give an intro on yourself.
Yes, I'm Paula Molina Kristen. I'm a product manager also for ITSM, and I'm based in Frankfurt. And yes, I'm very excited to show you the advanced configurations we have for SOW.
Thanks, Paula. Hey, everyone, again. If you've been on the previous sessions, my name is Sagan Patel. I ran the session 1 and session 2 of the adoption series. I think I see folks in the chat asking for those links. I will share that in a second here. I just created a community page which has all of our webinar events and some of the in-person events that we're trying to get to across the globe, like world forums and summits, so we can meet you folks in person. So I'll share that in a second. I'm a staff outbound product manager here, specializing in ServiceOps Workspace. Also pretty well versed in our Now Assist. Been here about 16 months, and before that, I was in your shoes as a customer of ServiceNow for 8 years. So these sessions have been fun, and thank you all for your engagement and being here. And let's move to the next slide, Paula. We'll cover the safe harbor, which you've probably all seen before. Effectively, this is mostly like a show and tell webinar. We're not going to cover too much roadmap stuff. Well, actually, we do have one thing that I'm going to show you with a guided setup for on-call scheduling. But this slide effectively lets you know that some of the statements we make today are not necessarily concrete. They are aspirational, things that we're working on in our roadmap that we hope to deliver for you in the next family release or two. And then we have some housekeeping that we'll cover. So please use a Q&A along the chat. We have many of my esteemed colleagues here that are experienced in different roles, product success, inbound product managers, outbound, customer success. So please ask your questions here along the way. The presentation will be recorded and shared with you on the community site within a week of today. And then please share your feedback afterwards. We're all looking for feedback to continue to improve these sessions. We're going to run these adoption series throughout the rest of the year. In case your colleagues can't make it or you want to re-attend any sessions, we're always looking to improve how we deliver this content to you folks. So please provide feedback. And then with that, Paula, I think you'll kick it off with the agenda for today.
Yes, so we have a very packed agenda. We will start with a recap of the adoption blueprint. Then we'll go over the landing pages configuration, then on the record page configuration. Then we will show a demo of the guided setup for on-call, and we will finalize the session with a Q&A and a wrap-up. Yes, so first we will launch our first poll. And yes, so where are you currently in your SOW adoption journey? So we want to see where the audience of today's session is at. So did you already begin deploying, planning to deploy in the next 6 months, within a year, or you're already a mature user of SOW, or no plans to adopt yet?
Looks like we got a third of the folks already deploying. That's awesome. So I think you're in the right session then, because you learn some tips and tricks about how you can continue to customize and configure the instance for your organization. A lot of folks in the next 6 to 2 months of the year, and some folks are looking to mature, and some no official plans. That's great as well. We're here to show you effectively the value. If you want to transition from either UI 16, Agent Workspace, different tools you may be using today, right? We're going to show you how ServiceNow can effectively, as one platform, meet many of your needs. All right, so we got about 2/3 of the folks chimed in here. We're a minute in. I'll share the results. And then share the results. There we go. So you folks can see what your peers are chiming in. And then we'll get started with Paula's content. So Paula, I think you got a couple slides before you get into the live demos, yeah?
Yes, so we're going to start with the adoption blueprint. So we are now on the third session. So we started with Art of the Possible, where we showed a day in the life of a service desk agent. And on our second session, we explored different phases of the adoption journey. And in today's session, we will go over how to accelerate deployment and use available configuration resources and SOW Admin Center. And on the coming session on July 16th, we will go over how to migrate from agent workspace to SOW. And now, just a quick recap on the adoption blueprint. And so it's a 4-phase adoption journey. It starts with the foundation phase, then with the crawl phase, the walk, and the run. So we already went over this on last session. So, and today, as Deacon already mentioned, we are going to focus on the walk and the run phase because we are going to extend the use cases to our tier 2 agents. And here is the proposed SOW product adoption journey, which we have the different products that we recommend that you implement in each phase. So we are on the walk and run phase. And now here is I will kick off the demo. So I will start with the configuration of landing pages. So I'm already here logged in as the system administrator. And if I go here in Service Operation Workspace, I get here to the landing page. So now I will show you how to configure the landing page and how you can, how different users can be redirected to different landing pages. So if I go here to Admin Center, so if I type Service Operation Workspace, and I go into configurations. I already favorited, so I can find it easier. And if I go into Admin Center and I go under Initial Setup, Landing Page Redirection, yes, so here we have 4 different types of ways you can control where agents land. The first one, the out-of-the-box one, is that users that you want them to be automatically redirected to SOW when they log into ServiceNow. So if we go into the system property, we can see here that every user who has the IT role and doesn't have the admin role will be automatically redirected to SOW when they log into ServiceNow. And so if I go here to the user criteria, and yes, I can see here that user has to have the IT role. It's not an admin and is in the next experience UI. So if I go back to the other system property, which is the next experience user selected landing page enable, if I go here, it's just to turn it off or turn it on, which this enables users to choose their own landing page. So if I go here and into preferences, and I go to user experience, for example, I want to land in dashboards, so I choose use dashboards. And so whenever I log into ServiceNow, now I will be automatically redirected to dashboards. So I could also, as an admin, disable this feature. However, if a user has already chosen their landing page, it will still be saved in the user preference table. So if I go to the user preferences table and I have already filtered, I can see here that the value is dashboard. So I go here, I set it back to the default one. And yes, so now that's how users can set their own landing page. So if I go then to the next system property, which is the home property, this one is for every user. So every user, when they log into ServiceNow, they are sent to the home page. If it is left blank, they will be redirected to the last page they last visited when they enter ServiceNow. And this is a nuclear option that we do not recommend because it applies to every user. So the system property that we do recommend is the Glide UX user criteria enabled. Here in Service Operation Workspace, we have two out-of-the-box landing pages, one for Tier 1 and Tier 2 agents. So this system property is set to true. So if we go into UI Builder, and we can see the different landing pages. And we go to the Service Operation Workspace experience. Yes, so we see here we have landing pages, one for Tier 1 agents and one for Tier 2 agents. So if we go into the settings for the Tier 1 landing page, we can see that these four audiences are will be redirected to the Tier 1 landing page. Whereas if we go to the Tier 2 landing page, we can see that these two audiences, Tier 2 audience granular and Tier 2 audience, will be redirected to the Tier 2 landing page. So if we want to see the audiences now, and so as we just saw, that these four first audiences will be redirected to the Tier 1 landing page. So if we go into detail which users are out of the box Tier 1 agents, there are the service desk agent role agents and the agents who have the, so for example, also the admins also will be redirected to the Tier 1 landing pages. And users who have the IT role and are part of the service desk group. And users who have the SOW home and are part of the service desk group. And which now we switch to the users who will be redirected to the Tier 2 landing page. And this one has the IT role, but are not part of the service desk group. And have the SOW home, but are also not part of the service desk group. And now, so just to show you, I have here two users, Bev and Don. So Bev is my Tier 1 agent, as we defined it here in the audiences, because if we go into her roles, we see that she has the IT role and is also part of the service desk group. And if we go back and to Don, who is my Tier 2 agent, we see that he's not part of the service desk group, but he has the IT role. Now, if I impersonate Bev, my Tier 1 agent, so first, she's automatically redirected to Service Operation Workspace because she has the IT role as we defined it. And she sees the Tier 1 landing page, which is incidents and catalog tasks. And now, if we impersonate Dawn, who is my Tier 2 agent, he sees Tier 2 landing page because he sees now changes and problems which Bev does not work with. Now, yes, that was the landing page redirection. And now, so we just saw redirection from landing pages. Now we are going to go over the dashboard configuration. And so if I go back again to Service Operation Workspace, and I have here, I can see here a dashboard, and also here in the dashboard module. And I can change the dashboard here to the overview dashboard, and I can also edit them here. But I could also add my own dashboard here. So how do I do this? So if I go into Platform Analytics, and I go to Dashboards, And I go, for example, I created this dashboard just as an example. And if I click on edit and on the information, I need to add here in dashboard visibility, service operation workspace. Now I save it and I go back to service operation workspace. I refresh. And now I also have here my own dashboard that I created. And in this demo, we are not going to go over how to migrate classic dashboards to platform analytics, but here are two resources that you from the platform analytics team, which you can watch to learn how to migrate them. And now moving over to the service desk role. So this is new in the Yokohama release. And the service desk agent role gives users the write and read access in different ITSM processes without giving them the whole ITIL role. So here I have assigned the service desk agent role to the service desk group, and I created a test user. I added this user to the group, and the user, the service desk level 1 agent, as we can see, has read and write access to the most common ITSM processes like problem change. And it can also read the CNDB, but cannot configure it. Has a write role for the CNDB, which means he could read the CNDB but not configure configuration data. And yes, and also it does not have the ITIL role. Yeah, moving over to lists. And so another thing that I wanted to show was the modules. So if we type here incident, and if we create a new incident, we will be redirected to the classic UI form. But if you want users to be redirected to the record page in Service Operation Workspace, you can go into modules and here filter by incident table. And here I created a copy of the create new module for Service Operation Workspace. I just changed the URL. So here I put this link type incident -1. And now if I go into incident, into my new module, create new SOW, I will be redirected to the record page in SOW. And now moving on to the list. So here I have my list. I have here my default list. These are the categories, and here are the headings beneath each category. And I can create here my own list. I can just click here, save a copy, and it will be saved here in my lists. But I could also configure the order in which this is shown. And if I go, if I want to change that, I need to go to where the UX list tables live, which is if you go to sys_UX list menu _config point list. And if you go into default SOW, and here you can see I have here the heading, the categories, which are the headings that can be expanded, and the US leaks, which are beneath the headings, and have a query which shows the required records for each heading. So here you can change the order, activating or deactivating. Yes, that was for list. Now moving on to the record page. So if we go back to Service Operation Workspace, and I want to open an open incident. For example, this incident, and so here is the container from the content section. Here are the tabs, and here I have my contextual side panel. And yes, so how do we configure this record page? It's very straightforward. We just go into Admin Center again, and we go under Incident Management, and we go into Incident Record. And here, we have the different tabs, the Overview tab, the Details tab, and you can configure which fields are shown in each tab. And if you want, you can also hide the visibility for Tier 1 agents, so they can go straight into the Details tab. So here, for problem and change, this is different because for each state in the problem and change lifecycle, we have different containers. So each container should show different sections depending on which stage the problem or change record is. So we have different containers for each state, and in each state, different sections will be shown. Yes, so that was for the record page configuration. Now moving on to the UI actions. Yes, so here we have also UI actions, like you are very familiar from UI 16, and you can either have them here or as a menu. So if we go into UI actions, here we filter again by the incident table. And I created a copy of a UI action for this demo for the copy incident. So if we go into the UI action here, we have for classic UI script and condition, but if we scroll down, you have the properties for the workspace UI action. You can either have it as a menu or as a button. But you cannot have both because then this one, the menu overrides the button. So, for example, I want to have a button, so I save it. And if I go back to my incident record and I refresh it, I can now see here that I have a button for copy incident SOW. Okay, we also have here our declarative create layout group, UI action layout group it's called. So if you want to configure this, you have to go to the for action layout group table, which is sys_ux form action layout group point list. And if we go into the incident create menu, and we can see here there are different actions, and we have it either links to a UI action or to, for example, this create change request, which links to a declarative action. So we open this just to show you. Here it links to a declarative action for create change request. So now moving on to the contextual side panel. So if we go back to the incident record, this is the contextual side panel, which is a feature that we designed to give agents the most relevant information so they can be assisted when they work on a record. So what it makes powerful is that it is contextual, so it changes depending on the record type. For example, different information is shown for incident or problem or change, and also regarding the state of the record and which applications you have. So for different, if you have other applications, you'll see different actions you can do here. And now I will show you one of them, like recommended actions. So recommended actions is also contextual of the record, and it's guide agents to work on the record. And here I can link this incident as a parent. And if I want to turn it on, because recommended actions is not turned on out of the box. So if I go into recommended actions into contexts, and I go into my incident context, and I have to go here under the related list recommendations. And these are out of the box, not turned on, so you have to turn them on manually. And this then allows agents to work more efficient on a record because they are shown which are the recommended actions for each part they are working on. And now I will move on to the now as agent assist. Here it's like a very smart search. You can search different knowledge articles, catalog items depending on the record. And you could also, like as an agent, you want to be able to validate if a user can also see this. They can also order a laptop, or if they can access the same knowledge articles. So to go here, you have to go under contextual search table configuration. If you go agent assist incident deflection SOW, and we go here, and we can enable to search as the caller. Now, every time we search for things in agent assist, we will be able to validate with the user. The caller can also see what we are looking at. So if we go to service operation workspace, and now I refresh it, now it should search as the caller. Yes, so now I'm searching as the caller. So now moving on to response templates. So response templates, there are out of the box also here. There are two out of the box response templates. One is need more information or schedule a meeting, but you can also add them here. If you go into the templates table, which is templated template point list. And here we see our two out-of-the-box templates, need more information or schedule a meeting. And here we can see we can add them to a form. Sorry, I think it's not refreshed, but if we edit this, and we can see it's already on the form, and we can also edit this one and add it to the form. Now we save it to make sure. And now if we go back to service operation workspace, and we refresh it. And I go back to my response template. Here I can see both are also showing here. So I could just copy this to clipboard and post it here. So before I would have to have different templates in different Word documents. So this allows me to have all templates here ready to use, which is very helpful for agents. And yes, I could also add this on the channels record. So if I go here and I go to the channels table, and I'm here in the channels table, and I have to change the scope. And if I configure here related lists, and I add response templates, and I can see here it's already both templates here, but I could add them here also as an option to add your templates through the channels form. So that was for the configuration demo, and I will now pass it over to Digan, who will show the on-call scheduling guided setup.
Thanks, Paula. And I'm going to take you to the guided setup. So effectively, Paula has shown you how to mature your SOW estate a bit more. If you attended session 1, we covered on-call scheduling, and that seems to be a buzzing topic. You know, it's one of those things where it's nothing necessarily super exciting, but every organization needs to have this nailed down, right? And it has to be an efficient process, streamlined, and efficient, right? Cost-wise, right? Today, you may have different third-party tools. You may be using spreadsheets to store your on-call escalation details. ServiceNow as a company has and continues to invest in our on-call scheduling product in SOW. Many of our customers today may be using other integrations like PagerDuty or Xmatters. They offer good solutions, but what we want to present to you is a one-stop shop for your on-call scheduling. Your data is in ServiceNow, your users, your groups, your policies, right? Your triggers for when certain events happen, like a P2, you automatically or you quickly as possible want to contact a person on call, right? Today that can be very manual. My previous company I worked at was a large bank, and when we had global network issues, it took up to an hour to get all the right people onto the call, the engineers, the business stakeholders, the people, the Q&A, the apps and the servers, before we can even say, okay, yeah, restart that switch or do something, right? And that's obviously financial impact, could be reputational impact to your organization if your services are down for that long, right? So our on-call scheduling product aims to make all that more efficient, automated as possible. As I mentioned, contacting folks on call via SMS. We have Twilio integrations. We have Microsoft Teams, email, Slack. We're trying to meet our customers wherever possible with this offering, right? So with that all said, we have just released a on-call scheduling guided setup. If you ask me personally, from experience, it's fairly straightforward as it is. But as I mentioned, ServiceNow continues to hear the feedback from our customers, and we want to continue to help you have faster time to value, right? So you can deploy our products within days or weeks versus months, right? And then, sort of help your organizations innovate and getting with some of the more modern things that we're releasing, like agentic AI is being asked in the chat here. We had that in our roadmap. I'll get to that in a second. But this is effectively the guided setup, right? So if you've ever used any of our guided setups before, they save a ton of time and value. Another little anecdote I'll share with you is that my previous company, we were considering bringing in a internal Stack Overflow, and that would have cost us somewhere like $500,000. And I was tasked with exploring the ServiceNow community offering, and I had like 2 days notice. Because the guided setup was so well orchestrated, I was able to build the POC in a day and then present it to my stakeholders within 2 days later and save the company that much money because ServiceNow offered the solution and I was able to build it really quickly. That's the goal here, right? This guided setup will enable you to do everything from all the different aspects of on-call scheduling, from managing the groups, which are effectively teams, your assignment groups, for example, like network engineering, database, hardware. You can configure all your group details here, all your different templates that you might use. You can configure them from one place and then use them throughout the product, right? So create once, use throughout many one-to-many sort of create and use cases there for your schedule templates, your different escalation policy templates that you may have. For example, again, in the session 1 adoption series, we showed the example use case of a P2 incident. Whenever that occurs for the network engineering team, we automatically want to contact whoever's on call. We can set things like granular policies, such as try the primary person once initially. If they don't respond, then try them a second time before going to their manager. All very intuitive and easy to configure. And then going some of the more advanced capabilities is those trigger rules, right? So doing things like, as I mentioned, for a P2 policy, this is all guided. So you go through each different step and then mark them off, and then eventually, have a full deployed on-call scheduling solution in ServiceOps Workspace. So these are the trigger rules. Very easy to kind of come in here and set your different conditions that you have that you need to align with your business policies. Effectively, for example, you just select a table throughout the system. These could be out-of-the-box tables or custom tables that you create. Well, for example, we'll just create incident. And this is new. Before, the trigger rules only kicked off on certain field changes, like when a record is newly created or it's reassigned to a group that meets the condition for the trigger. But now you can pick different conditions to actually kick off the trigger rule, which is very useful. For example, when different activities happen, when the record's reassigned or assigned to somebody, or somebody promotes the record to a major incident, things like that. You have the ability to do that all here from here, just selecting fields versus having to script it out with some JavaScript. So that's trigger rules and policies from within here. And then I think lastly, just come back here is, the properties is down here separately. And also useful is we've linked all of our documentation in here, right? So again, to effectively be able to do all this deployment within days or weeks versus months. That's the on-call scheduling guided setup. And I think lastly here, we just wanted to remind you folks, because we get a lot of feedback and questions that sometimes it's hard to find this documentation or guided setups in the platform. So we had this help icon in the top left-hand corner. If you go to the ServiceOps Workspace, even the homepage or any different features within here, you click the help icon. Here you can access our guided tours as admins or team owners. You can set different content here for your agents. The guided setups is, of course, more useful for your admins to deploy the products, but you can add in here articles that can be useful and also keep tabs on what's new coming out in coming releases. Like, for example, playbooks for major incidents is a specific new feature release for major incident management in ServiceOps Workspace. I think that is the two things that I wanted to show you today to supplement Paula's content for the session. I think we have a good amount of Q&A, folks. Yeah. Does any of our panelists want to come off mute and maybe speak to any Q&A or share anything they've observed here? Let's see if we got anybody bold. We're doing really well on time. I think when I'm not talking, we do pretty good on time. Sometimes I tend to talk a bit. Nikhil, anything you want to add? Nikhil is our inbound product manager for on-call. Nikhil, anything you want to add to the on-call scheduling in the roadmap? Anything you want to share with the folks here today?
No, I think that is well covered. You covered it well. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Nikhil. Another one, since I covered the safe harbor notice earlier, I think another one worth mentioning coming in our Zurich release, actually, Nikhil, that we should talk a little bit about, is that we have another very exciting on-call or guided setup coming for another highly demanded integration for our customers, which is our Microsoft Teams integration. So that at the moment, it's a bit cumbersome of a process. We have a documentation for it, but it takes Took me about 8 to 10 hours to do it on a Saturday before my first customer demo when I joined the company. But now we have a guided setup similar to on-call scheduling. So that's definitely something to note down because some of you may already have plans to invest, resources and money into that integration, to build it out, to test and all that. You may want to hold off to the Zurich release coming this fall, because that'll save you a lot of time and make it a more efficient process. So that's coming this fall. What else is worth sharing? Yep, Nico, see you coming off mute.
Yeah, just a note that it will be available for the pre-published setup. For the self-configured one, it's still a work in progress. But we have observed that about 95% of customers have been utilizing pre-published setup. So yeah, that should still work for you. If you're planning on a self-configured setup, then you can continue.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. The pre-publish is definitely the way to go. The self-configure, you can customize a little bit more some of the controls, but pre-publish is a lot quicker way to deploy it. All right. And here we'll share the deck with you folks afterwards and the recording, but here is some useful links and resources. The boot camp is something that I highly recommend. It's a free 6-hour training program where a lot of the things that Paula showed you today, on-call scheduling setup, major incident management setup, the side panel, agent assist. It walks you through all that and you get a free lab instance in parallel. 6 hours, you get a ton of experience, where you'll be able to go to your organizations and be the heroes over there to deploy some of this cool stuff. So all these links are here. Our community page I shared earlier, where we have links to all of our previous recordings and upcoming events. And here are some other offerings from ServiceNow in case you need additional guidance with your deployment. We have an impact team, which effectively can go into your environment through some, of course, business policies, and they can help you and guide you with some sort of customizations you may have to get you more closer to out of the box and be able to more smoothly upgrade to the latest family release versions. Training and certification is obviously always useful to just kind of be official with the development work and the things that you're doing with the platform. And expert services is similar to Impact, but they can effectively guide you as well on that one. I know Asta, you're here with us well today. Do you want to share a little bit, Asta, about what you're doing in your role and maybe how any customers can reach out?
Sure. If you are an Impact customer, feel free to request any of the available accelerators that we have. Apart from that, if you would like to get answers to specific questions, there is a way to submit a request for that as well. So do take advantage of that.
Yeah, thanks, Asta. All right, let's move through. And just something last one here in closing. If you feel free to scan this QR code, but this will link you to all of ServiceNow events. In there, you can find ITSM, which will link you to all the registration for all of our events coming up. As we mentioned, we have Academy series that Brittany runs to supplement these adoption series. We have 360 exchanges that we're doing to effectively let you customers come and talk to each other, where we guide the conversation, but you effectively drive it to just learn from your peers and how they're coming along with their adoption efforts. So we'll share that. And with that, folks, I think I'll hand it last to you, Paula, to kind of close us out here.
Yes.
Last message.
Thank you very much for attending this session. And yes, let us know if you want to see other demos of things you want to configure. And yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we'll give you back some 10 minutes here. And hopefully we'll see you next week if you are an agent Workspace to come in our SOW. And if you missed any of the previous content, there are links on the community and we'll be running them again. So thank you everyone for your time today and all the engagement. Appreciate it. Thank you.